Welcome back, friends, to episode 10, course 10 of Filmpreneur, the place where we are talking about making positive change happen in the world through our film storytelling skills and gifts by creating sustainable and profitable business. So, wow, we've gone through so much content so far, and it's been really neat for me as well to bring you through the journey of my entrepreneurial trip in building the company that we have right now at Hemmings House, and to be able to share with you that journey. And the reason I chose that format is because we're all going to share a similar journey, not the same journey, but a similar one where we're going to be finding some really messy times of trying to figure out finances. Another time when we're trying to figure out, should we have partners or should we do this on our own? Other times when we're trying to figure out how many employees we really can afford to have. And really, once you get to a point of flow state in growing your business, that's when you can really start trying to make the impact that you set out to make. And when I say try, it's a continual experience in making impact with business, because things change, the economy changes, the political climate changes. There's going to be different challenges, whether it's social challenges, economic challenges, business challenges that you're going to have to face that are different than the ones I did. However, the narrative is probably going to be the same, and I hope it is the same, which is a continual line going this way, a line of growth, okay? Now, for us, I mentioned earlier that we're a B Corp, B Corporation, certified B Corp. And just to talk about that a little bit more, B Corp is a certification similar to like a LEED architecture or a fair trade organic certification. But what we're certifying is that we measure more than just making profit. We measure the impact we make on the planet and also the impact we make on humanity. So if companies, for example, let's say I was in the company in the business of making these really nice floral shirts. I could very well have these shirts made in Bangladesh, but I have to make sure and prove that that factory is not dumping chemicals into the river. We have to prove that that factory is actually paying their employees more than a living wage. Like, these are the things that we measure as B Corps. And B Corps really try to help encourage companies to buy local, really reduce carbon footprint. And at the end of the day, it's all about using businesses as a force for good for the world. And one of their mantras is really creating a shared prosperity for all. And what does that mean? It means if one sector of the world is going to be prosperous because of an economy built on the efforts of another economy that is not being taken care of and being abused, not being treated right, that's not a shared prosperity. That's an uneven, unbalanced prosperity where somebody's prosperous because somebody else is suffering. The B Corp movement's all about evening that out. And this is one of the reasons why we were first to the gate. As soon as we heard what B Corp was, we went. In the last module, I told you how you can find out more about B Corp. Go to bcorporation.net. There's a film as well that I want you to watch, and I'm going to put in the link below. It's called Not Business as Usual, and it was made by friends of mine out in Vancouver. It's a film that I watched that allowed me to understand what B Corp was for the first time. You got to check this out. It will fully convert you into wanting to become a B Corp. Now, the other thing is when you first signed up for Filmpreneur, you were also given a link to watch the Millennial Dream film that we did. And within Millennial Dream, we also went over what B corporations were. We focused on this amazing brewery in Ontario called Bo's Brewery, Bo's Beer, and the beer's phenomenal, but their company is outstanding. The way they run their company, the way they take care of the people, the way they take care of the planet, just everything they do is a model for doing things right. And that's what the B Corp world is all about. We want to encourage businesses to do things right. To take that to a different level, I've been thinking a lot about the economy lately and how we as storytellers can fit into it. We're living in the age of story wars, and our friends over at Free Range in California really pushed that concept of story wars. Jonah Sachs was the author of the book. Check it out. I'll also put a link down below for you to check that out. But in the age of story wars, where really the most compelling story is the one that's going to win, and we think about what's happening politically today, the stories that are winning sometimes are not the stories that are good for humanity. And that's just the truth. There's so many instances in history where story was used as a very powerful weapon for destruction and for negative and for manipulation. And so essentially we are living in the age of story wars. If you're a filmpreneur, you are on the side, the right side, the light side. You are part of the force, if you will, where we are using stories to balance that in a way that is going to empower and inspire positive change. So in the economy, I've just come straight out and I've called it the love economy that we are collectively building. If you're a B Corp, if you're part of the social venture network, if you are using your business as a force for good, if you're working in the not-for-profit area or NGOs, international development, if you're doing things with the heart of making the world a better place, you are contributing to the love economy. There's only two economies in my philosophy. There's the love economy and the fear economy, because the opposite of love is not hate, just so you know. The opposite of love is fear, and fear breeds hate. Fear breeds contempt. Fear breeds so many things that are destructive, and that we really want to focus on telling stories that are helping companies build an economy that is a shared prosperity for all. And that's what I'm going to invite all of you to do as well. As filmpreneurs, you've committed to creating value in the world through film stories. I am now going to be encouraging you to take the B Corp assessment. It only takes 30 to 60 minutes to do the quick assessment. And what I want you to do is go to bcorporation.net, go through the free assessment, and you don't even have to become a B Corp or apply to become a B Corp. You can just take the free assessment. And I want to see where you score. So to become a B Corp, you need 80 points out of 200. And you're going to be measured on things like, how many employees do you have? How much is the wage gap between the highest paid earner and the lowest paid earner? That's a really interesting metric, right? What is your carbon footprint, as much as you can tell? Little things like this. And it's very simple just to run through this really quickly. And if you're scoring above 80, I think we should really have a discussion to see maybe becoming a certified B Corp is for you. And it's not expensive, just so you know. I think if you're under $1 million of sales, it's something like $500 or maybe $750 or something every 2 years. It's not an expensive thing, but it is welcoming arms into a global network of people just like you, just like me, who want to use their businesses as a force for good. And as you grow as filmpreneurs and as we get to know each other, what we're going to be doing is creating this network of film companies, filmpreneur companies around the world they're all owned by people like you taking this course, who will then become partners with Hemmings House. So Hemmings House, we don't have employees all over the world, but we work all over the world. We want to build a network of other film companies and filmmakers that care about the same stuff that we do, that have the same drive for creative brilliance the way we do, who care about high quality the way we do. And really, a nice side effect of this Filmpreneur course is that we're building a community of this sort of thing. We are now a network. You guys can use us. We can use you. We're going to get to know each other. If you become a B Corp, it becomes even easier for us to work with you. And as Hemmings House grows, we want to work with as many filmpreneurs as possible. And on top of that, as many B Corp filmpreneurs. So this is very, very important, not only just for you to build a great business, but also for us as a network to be able to work with each other, to be able to trust each other, even though we don't necessarily know each other very well. If you are a certified B Corp, you've proven a lot before we even start working together. And together we are building this love economy. And I also want to encourage you to start using this language as you show up in the workplace, as you show up in the boardrooms, as you show up as you're pitching your projects. Do not be afraid of pushing the love agenda, especially if you can boil it down to you've got two decisions on how you show up in business, one with fear or one with love. People will get what you're saying. They're going to think you're a bit crazy, perhaps, for saying it, but you will stand out of the crowd. Remember at the beginning, we were talking about how do we stand out in the crowd as entrepreneurs, as filmmakers, especially in a very noisy environment where a lot of people are just chasing for the same thing. You know, you look at what's being broadcast on television right now, the fake drama, and the very fact that our news sources are now becoming soap operas, and we're going to watch news for entertainment's sake now. Something really awful and not right about that. You know, the media trend is going in one way, we're going in the other. The whole zig and zag principle. The love economists are not following the trend of the world. We are following the trend of doing what's right. And the cool thing is right now, what's right is actually becoming really fashionable in today's economy. Look around. Everybody wants certified organic. They want to know what the story is behind the products that they buy. They want to know if it was local. They want to know in your supply chain, how are your people treated? And, you know, you think about all the things that go into just our smartphone. How many little elements of that phone come from sources that may not be clean in the supply chain? Perhaps, like for example, the iPhone and other smartphone manufacturers also gotten a lot of hot water for dealing with different minerals that come from conflict zones to actually make the iPhone work. We were involved in producing this incredible film called Complicit, which shows that a lot of the companies in China that are making the screens for the phones are still using benzene to clean them. And benzene is one of the most ridiculously awful carcinogenics. And people are getting leukemia left, right, and center in these factories. And the big corporations like Apple have said, no, we've cleaned all that up, not happening. But this documentary gets into the factories, proving that indeed these factories are subcontracting some of this work to other smaller factories that aren't being monitored. The supply chain is broken at that point, and some of them are not behaving appropriately. And this is the stuff that we as people in the love economy need to be very aware of when buying products, is really knowing what the story is behind the product. And remember, we are storytellers, which means this, if we're talking about being an entrepreneur and being an opportunist, this is our time. This is our time to help other companies who we believe in to tell really good supply chain stories, to prove, you know what? Yes, you're buying this shirt, and yes, it's being produced in a country that is not our local country, but that's okay because we are helping these communities by X, Y, and Z. That's all storytelling. It's got to be real. It's got to be authentic, but we have a role to play in this. As we support and promote, as filmmakers, as commercial filmmakers, support the companies that are doing good in the world, even if they're massive international corporations, the more we can promote the positive stories that are making people think deeper about their consumer decisions, the better we are doing as filmpreneurs. And for us, it's not about making the slickest, most beautiful films. A lot of us are doing that anyway. But for us, it's about making the most engaging, impactful films, the ones that are going to truly make change. And that's a critical point. Ship your films. They don't have to be perfect. They're communication tools. Remember that. We always have the opportunity to make our art films and our passion films as well. But when it comes to communication in really trying to move an economy to a different place, we just have to get as many good, positive messages out as possible. And the people who are going to pay for them are companies that matter, companies that have relevance, and companies that are purpose-driven. And these are love economy companies. And not everybody's perfect, and it's really tough to find the ones that are actually fully clean. It's really cool. If you want to do a little bit of homework on a company that I respect a lot, which is Patagonia, they're right up front with where they're failing. Like if you buy a sweater they don't have a full story that's in line with their values, they'll say it straight on the tag where it could have been better. Like maybe it's not made of recycled materials or whatever it is. So essentially their honesty in where they are in their supply chain story is at least letting the market know where they're trying to get to. And that's educating the market and putting pressure on them by being so ridiculously authentic. Explore Patagonia's catalog, explore their website. Great example of a love economy company that is striving to get better and better and better. And a great way to get better and better and better is to be able to capture that story and share it with the world. And that's what our job is as filmpreneurs. So I'm going to make this module short. We're going to bring it to a close. And this was really to inspire you to explore the B Corp impact assessment tool. So by going to bcorporation.net, take the quick assessment. And before we get to the next module next week, I want to know what your score was. It might take 30 to 60 minutes to do it. It's well worth it. It's going to help us figure out where we're going to go next. So until then, let's keep on making impact. Let's make films that are inspiring and empowering people to do better, and also helping keep companies accountable to the vision that they set place. Most companies start with a heart for making positive change in the world. Sometimes they stray. When we can capture stories and mission statements and visions as people grow their businesses, that keeps them accountable to their own words. So we've got a high responsibility here as film storytellers. And we're getting close. We've got 2 more modules to go, and then you will be an official filmpreneur. We'll see you next week with your B Corp assessment score. Looking forward to it.